July 14th, 2020. Joe here at the Wake Up Channel. I appreciate everybody for joining me today. I just want to do a really quick video on Will Smith. I'm having to take multiple takes here just simply because I'm having some audio issues. So I'll try to make this as quick as possible. I recently saw a interview with Will Smith, and he was talking about his new movie, Emancipation, coming up. And Apple bought this movie for $120 million. So everything that has Will Smith in it is, it's going to be a blockbuster. Now, Will Smith has not made some of the best movies, but the majority of the movies that he has come out with have been great. I am not downing his acting skills or his movies in general. I don't agree with almost anything that he says, at least right now, because he is taking the Black Lives Matter movement and this whole obsession with race that we have right now to more heights than could be imaginable. This Emancipation movie is a throwback and a reminder of the stain of slavery on this country. I think we should always remember the stain of slavery, so lest we ever repeat it. That is why the statues that we have, the reminders that we have of the history of the United States must and remained up and visible to people. We must keep them up. But what we see with a lot of these protesters is they want to rip down these statues. They want to rip everything down besides Karl Marx himself. This is a fact. In Seattle, the only statue that's really up anymore are Karl Marx, and that's it. In fact, other statues of Karl Marx are going up. So if that's not a wake-up call, I don't really know what is. But in this country, and I'm not going to be shy about this country fought a war to free the slave and right a wrong. The Republicans were actually responsible for that, not the Democrats. We need to remember that. That is the foundation of everything. The Republicans were also behind the civil rights movement as well, why the Democrats did not want that. They want to keep everything segregated. And when Will Smith and other people in the Democrats want to call people evil, call them Nazis, call them uninformed or unenlightened, that really sticks a thorn in the side of truth, because they conveniently forget about all these things. I'm sure that Will Smith has conveniently forgot that the statue of Lincoln was actually recently defaced as well. This is just something that is at the epicenter of the hypocrisy of this entire movement and the absolute unintelligibility of this entire movement, the ignorance of the people that are defacing the statue of Lincoln. Lincoln was the person that was behind the Republican Party, that was behind freeing the slaves. That's all you need to know. Now we can quibble about all the details about every person in history. And 100 years from now, the people who you believe are so instrumental right now in change, maybe people 100 years from now will be quibbling over some Twitter post that they made, and they'll be canceled too. And everything that they did will be for nothing, because everyone will forget, and a new revolution will come about. Of course, this is what Will Smith was talking about in a recent interview. He is completely behind the Black Lives Matter movement, even though he may or may not know that it is in fact a Marxist movement. This is old news now. But this Emancipation movie is sells to Apple for $120 million. That's a lot of money. It's nothing to sneeze at. It's I think that's the biggest price. It looks here was bought by Apple Studios for a deal that will cross the $120 million mark. It has become the largest film festival acquisition deal in film history, according to Outlet. So we are making a lot of new records. A lot of them are for the wrong things. Will Smith is 51, and he has had an illustrious career of making money and influencing others. We all know that celebrities are the place that we go to get the best information and the most wisdom. every time that something happens, I'm wondering what Will Smith is thinking. I'm wondering what Katy Perry is thinking. I'm wondering what Kim Kardashian is thinking and what Kanye West is thinking. I don't care if Kanye West is wearing a MAGA hat. Of course, he has taken that off now and thrown it into the ring. Why, I don't know, and I don't care. But here, Will Smith is actually, I took some clips off a recent interview. I think they're kind of enlightening. This happened about a week ago, and he was talking about his, not so much his new movie, because that was just in passing. He's really talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. So I'm just going to play a couple of these clips, and we'll talk about them. A lot of them will be short, though.
In 10 occasions, right? I got stopped frequently. So I understand what it's like, to be in those circumstances with the police, to feel like you've been occupied. It's an occupying force. What I loved about the peaceful protests, it's like peaceful protests put up a mirror to the demonic imagery of your oppressor, right? The point of contention is that's not what the person's hearing, right? So that's where communication rules come in very handy. Here's what the answer is when someone says Black Lives Matter. Yes, when we move through the world, you are confronting defiled and degraded minds. And it's never going to be any different than that. It's the way God designed this place. You are going to come across people that have made poisonous conclusions and false beliefs, and they've got insane narratives running through their minds. And as you walk through the street, you're coming in contact with that all day long. So in trying to build systems, because that's what's going to happen now, we're going to build new systems. If there is a singular message I would have to this next generation as they're seizing control of this world, is don't succumb to lovelessness no matter how much evil you face.
So that whole interview is about 10, 11 minutes, 12 minutes long. I didn't want to play too much of it because then I'll get some copyright issues and all that. Yeah, you're welcome to look for the interview so you can watch the whole thing. I did watch the whole thing. I did kind of scrape through it and look for, the parts that he was talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and so forth. He kind of just rambles on and on. He doesn't really talk too much about his movie, which is really what it was supposed to be about, but that's perfectly fine. He can talk about whatever he wants to. But what I really wanted to say when it comes to Will Smith is that Will Smith is a very rich person. He's very influential. He's been very blessed. He came from a bad neighborhood. That is true. He was not very privileged when he was growing up. So he is a testament, an absolute testament, that no matter where you come from, that if you put your mind to it, no matter what you want to do, you can do it. Will that mean that you will succeed 100% of the time? Absolutely not. But does that mean that you have to give up either? Some people succeed very quickly. Some people, it takes a very, very long time. The only difference is those that give up and they try to take the easy way out. Those that would rather resort to selling drugs and violence and joining gangs or joining hate groups for that matter or anything else like that. They want to take the easy way out. And now we have this Marxist type of philosophy that is making this much easier for people. And it is very comforting for your government to take care of you. And now people are demanding it. They are demanding to be put back into chains. White, black, brown, Asian alike, all Americans. That's what they want. And I think they don't really realize what they're asking for. They are asking to be re-put back into camps and to be put back into the fields. And so we can all be slaves for the deep state and our overlord masters. You think that these corporations are really going to go away? Some of the Marxist philosophy and the ideals of the Marxists is to get rid of all these big corporations, to put the means of productions into the hands of the people. Well, Marxism really isn't all about that as much as fascism isn't all about that. It's all about centralizing state power, putting all of the reins of control of the government into the hands of a few people. This is what always happens. We have this idea, or at least a lot of these people in this movement have this idea or this misconception that people have the best interest in their heart. That is until they get in power. Once they become in power, and there are no checks and balances because it's a centralized power, then they take that power and they inflict the most damage on the people as possible. You've seen this throughout history, especially with Stalin and communist Russia. So many people were so upset with Stalin that they actually welcomed the Nazis into their state. That is how bad communism is. And if you don't believe me, look up the history. Okay, a lot of this history has been subdued. It's been, not talked about, not studied, not taught, or anything like that. We have an epidemic of people who are just simply too ignorant of the past to make any kind of effectual change for the future. And any kind of change that comes from what they are doing right now will be disastrous. So I will leave at that. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.